All right, from Wes, I'm sort of dating someone, but he won't come to church. He always has an excuse. Any suggestions? Yes, find someone else. I do say that tongue in cheek a little bit, but please understand something here. One of the things that you're going to find from a dating situation, I should say typically speaking, is that things typically don't get better, they get worse after usually the first year of marriage. Meaning that if you've got an individual right now who already is unwilling to either consider or pursue spiritual things in a dating situation, the idea that they will, like let's say you got married, or developed a relationship, got married, a year from now that they would have any interest in coming to church is typically not going to be the case. In addition to that, we're not supposed to marry non-Christians. The Bible makes that clear, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, 14 through 7:1. And so it's not that it never happens, but it very, very rarely happens because usually that dating relationship, there's more motivation to do that. Secondly, someone in that situation, the Bible makes it clear that somebody is going to influence somebody in a relationship. And so as you go through that relationship, if you continue to get closer and closer to this person and they still show no interest in spiritual things, oddly enough, even some of the people most committed to Christ, and I've seen this happen. I've been doing this almost 40 years. I mean, I've seen people up on stage. I've seen other people who they just kind of kept hanging in there with somebody who wasn't interested in spiritual things with the idea that dating people to save them for the Lord is not typically a good idea. But the idea that somehow that's going to work, what ends up happening is they become influenced. Many times sexuality enters into that situation, and then guilt enters into that situation, and then guilt, if not dealt with correctly, leads to bitterness. And it's easy to feel bitter, sometimes even toward the church, because the church stands for God's principles, and on and on. And these are schemes of Satan, guys. That's just what happens. And so what I would challenge you to do, being very serious about it, is I would go to this individual and say, listen, my life needs, if I'm going to be successful, my life needs to be based on the foundation of God's truth in the Bible and Jesus Christ. That's what it needs to be based on. If you're not interested in that, we're both wasting our time. And I'm just trying to be straight with you because life is short. I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. And obviously I care very deeply about you and you care very deeply about me. But if we don't have the same foundation, we don't have any hope. We don't have the basis to make decisions about much of anything, about how we handle our finances, about what kind of jobs we have, about how we are on the job, about how we raise our children, about what discipline will look like. I mean, on and on and on it goes because foundationally we don't stand in the same place. So if this isn't something you're interested in, and that really is up to you, but if you're not, this really isn't going to go anywhere. Now, here's why that becomes an important thing to do, guys. One of the schemes of Satan, and we've certainly had to monitor this with our kids all growing up. We would allow them to begin a getting to know each other phase with somebody who wasn't a Christian, but they had to quickly have this discussion with that person. And if that person wasn't interested, if they didn't want to come to church, and church was one of the first places to invite them to if you wanted to spend some time together, then it was over. And we did that purposely. I think, hey Jake, did we break you up with 3 girls? It was either about 3. I think Stacy, we broke her up with about 3 guys, I think, something like that. And oh my gosh, tears, and you should have seen Stacy. You saw that coming, didn't you, dude? Yeah. Who knows what Stacy would do? But I mean, it was very emotional. It was, and it was very hard on me and Kim. We did not enjoy that moment at all and watching our kids suffer. And they've all, who we did that with, have come back and thanked us for doing that. And we were just doing that, guys, because their spiritual life is more important than, if she's cute or he's a hunk or whatever the situation might be. And so I guess what I'm saying is I really do want to challenge you to think in the big picture. And I know that can be hard at times, but I want you to step back and realize what is it this relationship should be about? And understanding that the only thing that this could be about is the thing that's going to last. And this stuff doesn't last. All right, we all work real hard to keep it lasting, but the reality is it doesn't last. And so the only thing that's going to last is who we are in relationship to God, and therefore who we can be with each other. And that stuff that I mentioned about Kim and myself, guys, that's all found and based in God's principles. And without that, you don't really have a basis or a foundation to do that. So I would encourage you to consider having that conversation and being real straight and being real, really being willing to take that kind of a stand, and then pray like crazy that God is going to open and look for opportunity as well to be able to find someone who has that same mindset. And please understand, for those of you who are single, I remember how scary that was and how difficult that was. And I literally was going to send a letter to 5,000 pastors across the country after Rhonda died. 5,000 pastors. I was just getting ready to do it, giving them my kind of resume and that I know you don't know me. And remember, this is before the internet. So, you're like, what's a letter? All right, so it's a thing. There's this stuff called paper. It comes from a tree, and you write on it, and you send this out. But I really was going to send this out all across the country to be able to say, here's who I am. Here's the kind of man that I am. Here's what I'm looking for. And because you're going to have access to knowledge about people, I wanted to, put myself out. So that was my first attempt at eHarmony, I guess. I should have started it right there, right? But Kimberly came along and didn't have to do all that. Think about all the postage I saved. Huh? That's all right, huh?